Hello guys, what's up? I'm Surush Designer, and in this tutorial I'm going to talk about most important tricks in rendering. So I hope you enjoy this video. Before we start this tutorial, please like and subscribe us and comment your opinion about Enscape rendering engine, because it's really important for me to know what's your view about the Enscape 3.5 new update. And let's get this tutorial. So we have very simple house in here, as you can see, modern architect, modern design with the white facade, but we don't have any work with the exterior places of it. So I'm gonna enter to my house. As you can see, this is the, for example, kitchen, this is the person, and this is the, for example, living room. And let's get about the tips and tricks. So first of all, now I'm on the fly mode, so I must switch it to the walk mode for the realistic eye height. Realistic highlight and eye height is really important in rendering. So in this place, first of all, I must turn my lens camera to the 2-point perspective. For this reason, as you can see, we converted to the 2-point perspective in here. And now I must check my materials. But before we check materials, we must set our light in here. For best result for the lighting, and this is one of the important tips about rendering, you must check the visual setting, turn your style to the white mode, and now you must use sunlight as the main light source. For this reason, you must hold Ctrl+U and I, like this, to change your sun position and sun clock, something like this, to reach the best angle of the sun position on the sky. As you can see, something like that is really interesting because it's cover all of your places in the rendering. And another option we have is the GI option called global illumination. You can control it from the sky option called clouds. Clouds is one of the important elements in rendering. I want completely clear sky in here. As you can see differences, when I increase the iris amount, I have some type of a screen like the foggy screen. But when I decrease it, I have very clear screen in here. So this is the second tip. Alright. When I complete this, I must choose white cube in here. And you can see completely our shadows and sun setting has been changed for us. For this reason, at first you must set your location on the 3D model. At the second, you must use the sun, something like that. As you can see, it's really realistic than the past because you use sun in some type of a special angle. And now you can click on the save frame. The third tip is very important in 3D rendering related to the frame. I turn on the save frame, and in the output setting I'm going to change it to the custom and change my resolution to some type of 3.4 aspect ratio, something like that. Alright, it's really useful for the interior rendering. And now another thing is really important, to change your materials to the realistic material. So as you can see, this is the one of the views we have in here, but it have a little bit work. So I'm going to minimize this screen, open the SketchUp, open the material library, and get inside to the house like this, something like that. Alright. As you can see, we have different type of materials in here and the SketchUp, but we don't know which one is in the scene. So I'm going to open the paint bucket in here, and after I open it, we have some option that called sample paint. I'm going to start with this wall in here, so I'm going to change it. For example, we imagine that this is the black plaster with a little bit reflection. For making your materials much reflector than the past, you must control the roughness on your screen. For this reason, I'm going to reduce the roughness to the 26, for example, and specular is the brightness that surfaces reflect on your environment. So I'm going to increase it to the 66, something like that. Alright, the color is good. I can make it a little bit dim gray, something like that. And now I'm gonna select another material. For example, this sofa. I use this sofa, but as you can see, it's really like the simple edges. At first, I'm gonna select this model in here and click on the open the this model, and we have another click. As you can see, we must convert it a little bit to the soften edges. So I'm gonna select soften components and soften edges. So now we have much realistic 3D model on our screen. So I select this material in here, and now I want to adjust it. So I'm going to change the type from generic to the carpet, for example. As you can see, it changed very bad and it's not really useful in here. So I'm going to turn it back to the generic option. So our color can be changed, for example, something like that. You can play with these materials, every type of things that you want. For example, I want to use Peru color for my sofa. And the roughness, I imagine this is the leather and have some type of roughness about 46, Metallica about 4, and the specular about 74. So now I'm going to click on the sample paint again in this place, but it takes a little bit time because we have heavy model in here. So I'm going to click on the sample paint. If your model is a heavy, you can click on the view, edge setting, and turn off the edges. And now you can work much smoother than the past. So I'm going to click on the sample paint in here, and now I want to change the material of this table. So as you can see, we have this table in here, but I want some type of metallic material for it. So at first I'm going to change the color of it. For example, something about dim gray. And now I'm going to increase the Metallica to the 100 because it's something about metal. And now I'm going to reduce the roughness to the 10, and now it's much realistic. You can change it to the some bright color like the white or some color like the Peru again, but it's not realistic, so I'm going to change it to the white smoke in here. And now we have the surface that like the glass. So you must control the glass material in Enscape. Glass is one of the important things in Enscape and SketchUp. So at first I'm going to change the color to the white, and now at the downstairs we have the roughness. So I'm going to increase the roughness to the 26 because I want to unyield blurriness behind this glass, and the specular is about 80, for example. So transmittance is good, opacity. When I increase the opacity, I can see the face in here. So your material will completely change. And if you reduce the opacity, you can see some type of glass in here. The choice is yours, but I decided to convert it to some type of material. For this reason, I'm going to increase the opacity to the 95 and change the type to the cutout. So now we have some simple face in here. So I'm going to reduce the roughness about 10% and increase the Metallica about 66. So I can change the color too, for example white or something like the dim gray again. Another material I want to change is about the floor option. So for this reason I'm going to click on the sample paint in here and select my floor. As you can see, I think it's something like the concert. So you can adjust the roughness of it. I need some type of reflection on my floor, so I'm going to remove the texture of it, and now I can play with the roughness option in here. As you can see, if you look at these places in Enscape, you can see that these differences very simple and easy. For example, I'm going to change it to the 16, and Metallica is about 2%, and the specular is about 68, or I can change it to the 92. As you can see, it's much brighter than the past, and you can play with the colors, for example inverted or uninverted. The rotation is about 40 degree, and the tint color is about white. Other things is good, so we don't have any type of transparency. Another material I'm going to change it is the window frame and door frames. So I'm gonna zoom on it very carefully, select it, and for example, actually it's completely metal, so I'm gonna increase it to the 78 and roughness to the 4. Now it's much realistic, it's like the metal. If you want more metallica, you can convert it to the 90 and change the aspect ratio to the 66. So when I click on the sample paint, I want to adjust these glasses in here. So I click on it, it's the glass material. I'm going to change it to the white smoke, something like that. Or I can change it to the red color, something like this. But it's a little bit artificial and it's not realistic, so I'm going to change it to the white mode. Roughness is about 10. Aspect ratio is about 79 or 69. Opacity, if I decrease it, I can see the outside, and when I increase it, outside will get blurred and the opacity. So I decrease it. Reflective index is about some type of frostness of it. When I check the frosted glass, you can see a little bit some type of bloom on your glass, but it's not realistic in here. So I'm going to change it to 1.6, and opacity is about 40. So the tint color is really important because make your glasses much realistic. You can select your tint color by your environmental theme. For example, I want dim gray, or I want some type of white for my environment. You can reduce the opacity again, something like that. So another material is this type of light in here. So I'm going to click on the sample paint in here and select my light body, something like this. Now I'm going to click on the Enscape material library. So absolutely these type of lights I have seen in internet or other places or other renders. It's something like the metal. So I'm going to reduce the roughness to the 0, and I want to increase the metallica to the 80. As you can see, we have some type of reflection about the HDRI on our light in here, and it's really realistic because you can use it in the real world. So if you don't want to see this type of HDRI screens reflection on the surfaces, you must increase the roughness. For this reason, as you can see, I want some type of matte color in here. For example, Series 4, and the spectra is about 59. So I think everything is good. I want to change the color to the dark gray, and now I want to open this model, and softness is good, all the things is good in here. So I think it's done now. Now I want to click on the sample paint again. Another time we have these type of materials in here. I'm going to adjust these materials. You can change the color, for example, convert it to the green, red, or I'm going to change it to the Peru because I have some type of theme in this place, and change the metallica to the 10 and the specular to the 71. So another time I'm going to change these chairs material. For example, it's the leather. So I'm gonna click on the sample paint in here, select my surface, and now we have this material in this place. So I'm gonna convert this color to the Pro, and image fade is about 60 or 74 is good. Roughness is something about 16, for example, or Series 2. And metallica is about 6%, and the spectra is about 64. So actually all of these sofas and chairs have some type of holders like the metal, something like that. So I must adjust these materials because it's really important. So roughness is about 4 in here, metallica is about 46 or 100. So the color is white actually. And for other sofa and chairs, this thing has been same. So I'm gonna change it to the 4, 100, the colors are good, something like that. So I'm gonna select sample paint again in this place, and I'm gonna adjust the material for these holders in here. So for 100, and the color is white, and image fade is about 66. You must play with these options to create these type of renders in SketchUp. So only thing we have in here is about the floor and these type of carpet in here. So I'm gonna click on the sample paint in this place, and I'm gonna select these in here. So I'm gonna click on the auto option. I don't want this type of floor in here, so I'm gonna click on it, select this face, and from the carpet and fabric, I'm gonna select some type of carpet barber pattern gray for it, something like that. It can be good, but a little bit, if you look at it, it's not realistic. So I can use some type of letter for it, something like that. Or you can click on the wood option in here, or tile option, or the stone option, and adjust some type of stone texture to your floor. For example, I'm going to select this marble stone and adjust it to my place. So as you can see, this marble stone has been done for us. So I'm going to open the material editor in Enscape, select the marble in here. Roughness is about 4, and the Metallica is something about 56, or maybe it's a little bit too high for it. For example, 12 is good, and Spectra is about 84. So I'm going to click on it. I need a little bit rotation and change my material sizes, something like that. You can invert it to create some type of darker stone, but it's not realistic. So I think everything is good in here now, something like that. And only we have this type of offset line in here. So I'm going to select the sample paint in this place, select it, material editor, and now I'm going to reduce it to the 26 and change the color to the 56, something like that. And now I'm gonna fix it. So all of the things in here has been done for us. So now I'm gonna minimize my SketchUp and come back to my 3D environment, as you can see. So I think this type of view is good for us. For converting and accepting your view, you must press F on your keyboard, and you must click on your create view in here. I'm gonna type interior render 1 and press star as the favorite. So now I'm gonna play with the position camera. I'm gonna type 12.7, and for the Y is the eye height. I'm gonna type 1, for example, 1, or you can adjust it by your hands. Something like this. So I'm going to change it to the 1.3. The Z is about -17 or 17.5, for example, and X is about 12.8. So I want to have this type of sun on my screen, but I don't know how. So you must uncheck the save Enscape sun position, because sometimes it makes you to create some type of wrong views of important things. So I'm going to change it to the 1.6, and the Y is about 230 degree, something like that. And now I'm going to press save in here. So interior render number 1 has been saved for us, and when I click on it, I came back on it. So and only thing we have in here is the sun position and lighting time. So I'm gonna change the sun's clock about 7 of the morning and change the sun position something like that, a little bit like this. It's about, I think, 6 a.m. So I'm gonna click on the visual setting in this place. I can change it to the white mode to see everything is done and good. So we have exposure option. I'm gonna increase the exposure a little bit, about 54%, and make my lens much closer to the screen, something like that, about 78. And I'm gonna play with the depth of field, so I'm gonna focus on the sofas, walls, and light. For this reason, I'm gonna turn off the autofocus and play with the focal point someplace like this. And I'm gonna type 5 meter, for example, and when I increase the depth of field, all around this target has been blurred for us, but I don't need it because it's not realistic. So I'm going to type 8% for it. Outline a little bit can be make our render much adorable and attractive, so I'm going to type 8% for it. I'm going to turn on the auto contrast to control all the colors automatically. I need a little bit saturation, so I'm going to increase it to the 102, and a little bit warm screen, something like this, about 4100 Kelvin. We don't create any type of animation, so we don't need motion blur. I'm going to press save and 0. If I increase the lens flare, it's not effective on this render, but when I increase it, it's not bad at all. So I'm going to type 78 for it. I don't have any type of bloom on my screen, and chromatic aberration is about 4 because I need sharp edges, and vignette is about 20. So atmosphere, I'm going to reduce the intensity to the 0, sun brightness to the 90, night sky is not important, and shadow sharpness is one of the important things. Look at this place in here, you can see the shadows, but when I increase the shadow sharpness, we have much sharper shadows, and it's not realistic at all because we don't have any type of shadows like this in the real world. So I'm gonna reduce it to the some number about 34, and artificial light we don't have, but I can increase it to the 126, and ambient color is about 66 or some number about 54, and we don't have any type of wind in here. The sky is good, Cyrus amount is about 0, and the output is good. So I'm going to increase the rendering quality to the ultra. For this reason, you can see the result in here, and it's really amazing. So I'm going to click on the visual setting again. We have a little bit job in the color temperature, as you can see. So I think the normal is good. Lens flare is about 66, and in the atmosphere, shadow sharpness can be a little bit blurred than the past. Ambient color and artificial light can be decreased to the 110, for example, and I think it's really wonderful. So ambient brightness is good. You can reduce some brightness a little bit, about 80%, and at the image option everything is good, sky is good, and let's get to the rendering. So I'm gonna re-exposure it again about 56, and now I think everything is good. So let's get to the rendering. I'm gonna press Shift plus F11 on my keyboard, as you can see, and type interior render. So I'm gonna save it on the desktop with the JPG file format. So I'm gonna press save in here. As you can see, Enscape is one of the best rendering engines for the 3D artists. So you can create these type of incredible renders in SketchUp plus Enscape very simple and easy. So I suggest to you always use the Enscape in your architectural projects because it works very realistic like the V-Ray, Lumion or other type of rendering engines. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe, don't forget it. please subscribe us because we need your support for more free tutorials about the SketchUp and Enscape. So this is the final result of this image. I say all of the tips, tricks, and all of the important points about the rendering. So keep your training and comment below this video about your rendering jobs and how you can create realistic renders with any type of rendering engines. So like and subscribe, don't forget it, and goodbye.